One factor that might or might not have influenced this, I have a feeling it might have. I'm interested in what do you think about this, Devin? The impact on the locker room, the impact on the guys who are out there grinding it out. When Anthony Richardson does the fairly unprecedented, if not completely unprecedented thing of tapping out of a game, tapping out, saying, I need a break. And I understand that there are certain players on the field who will come out from time to time. They're part of a rotation. That's how it goes. You don't see an uninjured quarterback tap out. An uninjured quarterback fights through it. An uninjured quarterback is expected to stay out there on the field. That's the sport. And I wrestle with that because given the health hazards that are out there on every single play, I only believe that the players who feel like they are supposed to be out on the field should be out on the field. Remember when Vontae Davis retired halfway through a game? I said, hey, man, if he doesn't want to be out there, why go out there? It's already hard enough if you're out there and you want to be out there. If you have doubts about being out there, don't be out there. But the message it sends to the team when quarterbacks don't do it, I have a feeling at some level that influenced how the locker room was feeling, how the coaching staff viewed him. And you mentioned earlier things you can't unsee. You can't unsee Joe Flacco coming in and do well. You can't unsee, if you're a Colts player who was out there on the field or on the sideline, him tapping his head and coming out of the game. Even if it was only a short period of time, you can't unsee that because it never happens.
Yeah, and as you say those things, I always think about coaches saying, if you're not ready to go or blah, 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 then don't come on the field. And that rings true until somebody actually does it. And we were sitting in the viewing room Sunday, and, Anthony Richardson makes an unbelievable play to get, back to the line of scrimmage or maybe gain a yard because Fadakasi, the defensive tackle from Houston, is draped on his back, and he kind of throws him off. And I remember I'm yelling at everybody in the viewing room, look at this play that Richardson, he just threw him off. And as they show it in the end of the play, you see him tapping his helmet. And if you've ever played football, the universal sign to come out of the game because you're tired is tapping your helmet. There's no injury or anything to that. You tap your helmet, and that lets the coach know to come get you and get you off the field. Ever since high school football, maybe even back to my youth football days, I've never seen a quarterback tap his helmet to come out. I've just never seen it. Quarterbacks, they don't do that. Even if they have an injury, you'll see a quarterback stay in the game. We've seen quarterbacks get picked up and carried, whether it was Phillip Rivers,
Byron Leftwich,
torn ACL, Byron Leftwich at Marshall. They're carrying him to the line of scrimmage and to the huddle because they don't want to come out. They feel like they have the biggest impact on the game. So yes, I think as a player, I think some of those guys probably laughed at first on the sideline like, hey, is AR or Richardson, whatever they call it, is he tapping his helmet to come out of the game? And I know it's probably going to be a long shot that they got the first down. I think it was like a 3rd and 19 or 3rd and 20 or something. But to come off the field and now you throw a guy in Flacco who is sitting for the whole drive, there's no warm-up, he goes into the game. I think for Steichen as a play caller, he's like, the only thing I can do is run the ball here. And I know Flacco's a pro, he's ready to go and all of that, but the comfort that you feel in a game as a play caller of my quarterback just tapped out, I'm sure everybody on the sideline was like, what the heck is going on? The coaching staff, I'm sure somebody up in the box is like, hey, Anthony's tapping his helmet to come out. I'm sure there was just some confusion of like what is going on here, and it's a bad message to send to your team. And I think especially after the game, you go and you get interviewed and you're asked about it. I understand transparency, being honest. I think the worst thing he could have done is said, I was tired. Like, say something else was wrong. Say, like, hey, I felt really weird, my breathing, my chest, not a normal feeling that I get. It wasn't just fatigue. Like, just think of something you can say that just doesn't come across as, hey, I'm a professional, but I'm not in shape, and it's week 8 in the season. I'm not maybe conditioning on my own. Maybe I weigh too much. Like, all of these things start to get questioned of how a quarterback can make a run. And, like when you put in him breaking the tackle and maybe, making a juke move, maybe it ended up being 12 to 15, maybe 20-yard play. But you look and you're just like, so? You can't run 20 yards at this point in the season and be okay to get back in a huddle and hand the ball off or roll and throw the pass. So that, to me, it just led to more questions about, is he ready to go? Is he being a pro? All of those different things that at this point in the season, you don't want to be answering those questions.
We've heard Jason Garrett say a couple of times this year, everybody wants transparency, and then they say something honest and they get criticized. This is why coaches use cliches. This is why players use cliches. And, you could pick any ailment you want and say, I wasn't feeling right. I got hit. I didn't feel like I could go. Not, I'm tired. And there's just something about the nature of the sport. We're used to seeing the quarterbacks basically go down with the ship. And no matter what, they're going to be out there. They want to be out there. They don't even think about it. That's what I think, Devin, is so surprising about it. Not just that he acted on it, but that he even thought it was an option. Yeah. Because most quarterbacks will never even have that on the radar screen. I'm not coming off the field no matter what. This is my place. This is what I do. And you're instilling a message in the entire team to fight through any and all adversity. That's where the balance is. We got to fight through any and all adversity to overcome the will of the other team to win, unless we're feeling a little tired. Then we'll get back to it later. That's the problem. And I think that did. How could it not resonate in the locker room? How could it not cause guys, when Richardson's not in the room, to talk about, hey, man, what was that shit? I'm sorry, London. What's going on? I mean, what was it? You ever see that before? I've never seen that before. What the hell? And, hey, we got the old man who was comeback player of the year last year. And look what he did for the Browns. Let's get the old man out there. The old man's not tapping out. The old man's going to do whatever needs to be done. So I think that's part of it. I think that's a big part of why they made the move. And speaking of coach speak and cliches, we have an opportunity to study what Shane Steichen said and how he said it on Monday when he was talking about what they're going to do at quarterback, and then abruptly by Tuesday they'd done it and they'd benched Anthony Richardson, just as an exercise in what we might look for by way of gestures and facial expressions and words chosen. Let's refresh ourselves on what Shane Steichen had to say Monday before he benched Anthony Richardson on Tuesday.
Is he starting Sunday?
We are evaluating everything.
I don't want to read too much into what you said, but when you said you're evaluating everything on him starting Sunday, is there a question that he starts Sunday in Minnesota?
Like I said, we're evaluating everything, not just the quarterback, everything. Like, we all got to be better. I mean, we're sitting at 500. And, I think, looking back at what we've done, there's a whole bunch of areas that we can improve on. I'm not just talking about the quarterback. I'm talking about everything. And we got to be better moving forward.
One, did the self-tap out thing, did that factor into this at all?
No, it didn't.
Okay, just to make sure. And then secondly, just to get it on the record, I guess, so you're saying, is Anthony your starting quarterback right now or not?
Right now, today is, yes.
Just you don't know for the upcoming game if he is a starting quarterback.
We're evaluating.
We're evaluating everything. Devin, I don't know that any other players were benched by the Colts yesterday. It wouldn't have had the same headline, but there was no Richardson and this guy. It's just Richardson. So if they were evaluating everything, they ultimately decided that one guy needs to be the one who, be careful what you wish for. You want to come out of the game? You're coming out of the game.
And I'm sure in their staff meetings, I'm sure there was probably somebody who said, next time he'll be careful to come out of the game. Because like what you just, is so true, because you give the opportunity for somebody else, and even the thought of putting somebody else, and I know he had been injured, so they had saw it already, but you just don't want to do that. And I always think it's so hard as a coach when you go in these meetings, and I always marvel at the things Bill Belichick would think of as he addressed the media and was answering like tougher questions, how he would just implement and tell them even more things. Like when you say you're evaluating everything, I just think of him thinking of all the things that the team was doing poorly at that point in the season, and he would throw it all out there of all the things that, the team was evaluating just to make sure it kind of threw the scent off a little bit of the quarterback. But As Steichen's sitting there, he knew, like he knows what they're doing, but he's like, hey, we're not ready for this yet. And then the questions start to boil over, and I even saw on that Monday press conference, as he continued to say we evaluating everything, one of the questions then came in and was like, hey, well, you're evaluating you as a play caller. Is that still going to be a thing? Are you still going to go call plays? And I think once you start to think about all of that of, hey, I'm sure he's sitting there like, yeah, me calling plays isn't the problem. I'm trying to think of plays that we can run that Anthony Richardson is going to be able to run and be productive on. So I'm not able to call the plays that I really want to call and get the offense moving how I think we should be moving. So I think even that thought process of, well, dang, when Flacco's in there, I'm able to call all these different things and we're able to do these things. So as he sat there and tried to, not make it all about Richardson, you can't. At this day and age, like your quarterback, and he plays poorly and he comes out and you say we're evaluating everything, everyone already knows that, hey, the quarterback, you're evaluating him, you're seeing what it's like. I just think it's interesting when you say we're evaluating him of it's Tuesday and you've already made the decision. The first practice of the week is not till Wednesday. So you're not really even evaluating to see what he looks like going into this game Sunday. You've already seen enough. The evaluation period is over. You know you're moving on because you're not even allowing him to come into the meetings, see what he's going to do Wednesday, see the game plan. All of that is gone. You're like, we're focused on winning Minnesota Sunday night, and we're inserting Joe Flacco because we think he gives us the best opportunity to win Sunday night.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.